All right. So back again, doing another breakdown video, this time on side control escaping. So the first breakdown video that I did recently was all on mount pin escapes. Now we're going to do side control pin escapes. So let's just get this open here. All right. So the first one's with Scott. So we're going to start with the typical shrimping escape. So typically, my first goal when I'm in the bottom of side control is get all the inside position back. So when we start in side control, a lot of the time we will have our arms or arm inside, or an arm, I should say. Sometimes you don't, especially if we're doing specific sparring. I think there's a couple times in here that I allow my partners to get inside my arms, but our goal is to get both our arms to the inside of their body and at one or both of our knees inside their body as well, so that we have all the inside positioning back. And once we have the inside positioning back, they will no longer be able to pin us. So in this video, I basically count getting back to guard, which is getting both my legs between us or around them, or turning to turtle as an escape and then starting over. So the first escape that I typically go for when somebody's holding me down is the shrimp escape. So I can do my frames in any order, but my goal is to turn into my opponent, move my hips away, and get my frames back in. So let's just start it here. This is me and Scott. So Scott was pressuring with a cross face and underhook towards my head really, really hard. So because he was forcing his pressure towards my head, I was able to off balance him further over my head, which almost slipped his whole entire control off my upper body. And I was able to insert my knees here. And as you can see now, I have all of my limbs back to the inside, back to guard, and that's an escape from the side control. So Scott again. So this time I felt his control on my upper body was a little looser. So I brought my left arm, the inside arm, underneath his near arm or crossface arm and out to this side. Because one of the biggest things in escaping side control or any pin is I don't want to be flat. So whether I'm turned in or turned away, I don't want to be flat. I'm able to be more mobile on my side. I'm able to carry more weight on my side as well without getting exhausted. So let's see what happens here. So I turn to my side and immediately Scott tries to get knee on belly, which he has here. I'm blocking his knee from going further away with my hand because what I don't want to happen is for him to mount me. So let's continue here. So as you see, I have the inside space with my arm on the left arm, inside space with my right arm. So I have two of my inside positions, but he has the inside position on my legs. So I'm trying to get at least one or both my legs back to the inside. So he took weight off me for a second. I shrimped away, which shrimping just means moving my hips away and then turning in. And then now I should be able to get my one knee in, and now I'm fighting to get my last leg on the inside. There. And that's an escape. Again with Scott.
There we go.
So you can see here, both my knees are floating. My feet are not on the ground. You may see me sometimes put one foot on the ground and then the inside leg floating, but I need to have at least one knee floating close to his hip so that at any second he makes or I make any space, that knee is going right inside. Also, having tight knees is going to prevent him from being able to just immediately go knee on belly or mount me, which I don't want if I'm trying to escape the side control position. So I get the inside arm through. So I do this a lot of the time to be able to turn away. So if I feel like they have too good of an upper body control that I can't pummel my hand through like I did last time, I'll go across the hip and turn away. Here. That arm can also block the knee on belly. So he almost was stepping over to the mount, but my arm was blocking his hips, so he had a hard time stepping all the way over. And I found it hard to turn away because he was pulling my arm, trying to attack it, so I switched directions and I turned back in to escape. And he attacks the arm there, and I hitchhike it.
For me.
Okay, so this time he actually gets the inside position. I don't put my arms to the inside now. So he has 100% of the inside position right now. So this is worst case scenario. In rolling, you shouldn't end up in this position. Anytime somebody passes your guard, and what I mean by passing your guard, passing your legs and getting to your side, you should immediately be bringing everything inside so that your arms aren't dangling out to be attacked, or so you're 100% pinned like this. So this won't happen a lot. This will happen against, people that don't know what they're doing. A lot of times there's a big size difference. But Scott had all of the inside position here. But Scott's problem was his hips were just a little too high, and he was draping his body weight over my body too far. So what happened was I was able to trap his arm and use my left arm to help push him over as I bridge, and he had no way to let go. Like that. So now we're here with Kevin. So now, again, most of my escapes are based off of how my opponent's controlling me. So let's just go back here a little bit. Okay, so if you look at how Kevin's holding me right now, he has a very good crossface set in, and he has my hips hugged. So one of the common counters to people stopping you from moving your hips away and turning in to get your limbs back inside is doing what Kevin's doing right now. So he's hugging my hips so I can't move my hips away. However, because he's hugging my hips, he's no longer controlling my upper body as well. And he can't really stop me from turning away either, because his crossface is helping me turn away. And the other thing that would be stopping me from turning away would be him underhooking my far elbow and stopping me from dropping it to the floor to turn away. He can't do that while he's hugging my hips like that. So let's just see what happens here. So again, it's easier for me to get my inside arm, my left arm, across to the outside because he's only got one arm controlling my upper body here. But when I'm turning, though, I do not want to allow my partner to get inside either of my arms, because then there's the threat of back takes or chokes, right? So I'm constantly sealing them out is what it's called in wrestling. Don't let them get the inside position on your arms. So I noticed that Kevin was not controlling me at all with his arms. They were just kind of floating around for a second. So I immediately turned back in and go to my original escape where I get my arms and knees to the inside. Scott. So this is another common counter that you'll run into when you're in the bottom of side control. When people know that you're trying to turn in to get your knee inside, they do what Scott's doing right now. Drop their hip right next to your hip. So now there's no space for you to get your knee inside. So the first thing is I don't want them controlling my head and dropping that hip. So as you see here, I have a forearm frame on the inside of Scott's arm, and I just slip his arm off like a helmet. Here. And now I put Scott in a dilemma now. So because he's not trapping this arm, the right arm, I'm able to either use it to block his hip and start moving away and get my knee in, or I can use this arm to sit up and push into him. So if I do the sit-up escape, because his hips are angled towards the ceiling, he's going to fall over unless he turns back to his knees. If he turns back to his knees, I drop the elbow and we go right into our escapes where we shrimp and get our knees and elbows back in. So here he's trying to trap that arm, goes back to the crossface, and then here's the sit-up escape right here. So Scott was really new when we did this, so I was taking it easy on him here. I would have completely finished that sit-up escape, but I just wanted to show the back and forth between sitting up and then when he drives you back into his knees, going back to the hip escape. So here it is here. So I crawl back, I push him overhead, and then now I got my knee inside. So again with Scott, get one frame in, which is my left arm. So I got the inside position there, got my right arm in. So he switches his hips. Again, slip that arm off like a helmet. And now I threaten that knockback, and then I raise him forward. So it's like a teeter-totter.
Dilemma where if you drive really far over, I can start doing this, right? Then you gotta sit back. As you sit back, I can start.
Yeah, so in this video here, I was just talking about how if they have all the inside position, I have to off balance by using bridges to try and get my limbs back to the inside if they're super tight. The tighter they are, the more these off balances kind of affect them. So the first off balance was bridging them across my body here. And now when they sit back heavy on their butt to prevent me from rolling them over, now you can use your outside arm, which would be my left arm, to push the head to the inside of your body, where now their body weight is no longer across your body, and you're able to turn in and start your turning in escapes.
That's right, then you gotta sit back.
Right here. Right, back to Kevin. So Kevin had one little cheeky escape that you can do here is one thing people will do to shut down your turning in escapes and getting your knee inside is kind of like a hybrid between staying on their knees and switching their hips like what Scott was doing. So basically they just drop their hip that's closest to your hip and they extend that leg back straight so that they're really tight with that leg. However, when you do this, the person on bottom does have an opportunity potentially to grab that knee and basically lock out your leg so you can't bring it back in and slide their legs under, which is what I do here. And I catch him in a half guard. Once I'm in half guard, now I can start off balancing him to try and free my second leg.
Almost lost that.
So I have one leg trapped between my legs right now and a hook on that leg as well. So as you can see, I'm just off balancing, and then now I can free my leg, and now I'm out. So again, I do it to Kevin here. So he's got that leg straightened back behind me. You can't really see it, but here it is. The leg is straight. I lock that leg out, slide mine under, and now I'm back into half guard again. And now I use half guard to off balance him. And then I eventually entangle his legs. So here's one with Chase. So another thing that, another reason I should say that people start switching their hips and kind of facing the ceiling a bit with their hips is if you push on that hip to stop them from following so that you can move away and get your legs back inside, one thing they will do is they'll turn their hips to the ceiling to deflect your frame. And then if they actually do this and catch you off guard, you'll no longer be able to get your elbow to the floor because in this case, Chase's left hip is sitting through. If he sits all the way through under my elbow, when I try and drop my elbow to the floor, I'll no longer be able to do it because his hips will be under it. So you have to be sensitive with your elbow and your frames. So if they change the direction of their body, you have to change the direction of your frame. So Chase almost catches me here. So you'll see me immediately change my frame here from his hip. Yeah, see, he's gotten under a little bit. I go to the outside now, so I start turning away so he doesn't get under that arm. If he gets under that arm and traps it, I'm not going to be able to turn away or turn in. So it's very important that we don't allow our inside arm to get trapped. So again, Right now, I'm trying to seal out all the inside position against Chase. So right now, Chase has underneath my elbow, but I have the inside position with my left arm. I also have to be aware that when I'm turning away, that right arm of Chase doesn't go around my neck and start choking me. So I try and use my my left arm to take his head off my left shoulder to turn away, but Chase's control is too strong. So right now, Chase has no inside position with his right arm, but he has the inside position with his left arm here. So I need to start grabbing that hand and pushing it away and getting my arm back to the inside position here, which I do. Now that I got the inside position, now I can turn a turtle, and I'm out. Me and Scott again. It's that inside arm to help me turn away. So I'm on my side. So Scott has the inside position on my far elbow, but I have the inside position with my inside arm right now. But I still don't have any legs on the inside yet. So Scott, I'm not sure what happened there. Let me see. How did I... Okay, so Scott let go of my far elbow there. That's how I was able to turn away. So he let go of my far elbow, which was his only inside position on my upper body, to attack my inside arm for an armbar. So when he does that, I immediately use this to turn away to my knees. He does attack the arm, but I managed to escape as I turn to my knees. Pretty acrobatic attack, actually. It's pretty funny. Chase again. So again, you see Chase is actually under my arm this time. So this is what you don't want to happen. So if you're sensitive with it, the second you feel them turn their hips, you'll drop your elbow to the other hip. But he caught me here sleeping a little bit. And I think this is why I put the video in here, because I'm going to show what to do if the arm does get trapped. Yeah, so here, arm is trapped now. So if I try and turn in, I can't use my left elbow to push on Chase's hips to make space between our hips to get my legs in. I also can't turn away, because if I turn away, my arm's not going to come with me because it's trapped under his body. So just continue here a little bit. So as you can see, he's got me even semi-turned away now. So I threaten the off balance over across my body just to loosen up the grip a little bit so I can try and move my head away and drop that elbow to the floor. But I notice that he's just too tight, so I actually open it over his thigh here a little bit. Can't drop it. So now I open my arm right here. So now it's not on his hip anymore. So this is a little bit better for me now. So now that I've opened that inside arm, now when I bridge into him, I can stop him from opening that right knee, which will make him open up for a second, and then I can drop my elbow back inside, which is what's going to happen here. Right here, boom. And now my elbow's on the inside again. So Chase is driving good pressure here. I want to remove that arm on my head if I can. But he switches back to his knees. So again, the whole purpose of this left elbow is so that when I get to my side facing him, I can move my hips away and he can't follow and close that space with his hips, so I can get my legs back between here. But I notice that he extends that leg. Anytime I see my partner extend their far leg, I immediately grab the knee and lock the arm out so they can't bring it back in, and then I slide my leg under. Just like that. And now I've caught it in half guard. Now I'm in half guard. Start off balancing to get my second leg free. And now I'm out. All right, so the next few clips are of me and a brown belt. So this is Devin. So Devin's very pressure heavy. He's like wrestler kind of oriented because he's an MMA fighter. So you'll see most of my escapes, I do not turn in. So turning in, when you go against somebody good, turning in is very difficult because almost always all of their original controls are to stop you from turning in, because that's the typical escape. So you'll see me starting most of my escapes by turning away first. So I'm in side control. Again, my knees are floating, so that at any moment I make space, I can insert my knee. So there he drops his hip, and he switches to controlling my hip, so I can't move away here. So again, with him controlling my hip like that, he has no control of my left elbow. So if I can bump and get my right arm underneath, I'll be able to turn away to start my escapes here. Right here. So the only reason I'm able to do this is because he's decided to switch from controlling my shoulders to controlling my hips. So now I have majority of the inside position now with the upper body, but I still don't have my legs free yet. So this is another good control. If you can get control of the wrist like this, now I can push his arm away and turn to my knees here. So this is a really good control. I think he actually steps over to mount on me, but this was the beginning of a good escape. Yeah, so he steps over to mount, and then I trap the ankle, and then I just stop the video here. So again, he immediately passed, and I immediately tried getting my inside knee in there. But as you see, Devin has his right arm pushing my left leg away, and he's pushing my right knee out. So trying to turn in right now is going to be very difficult. So I'm going to start my escapes turning away now. Here. So I sealed them out. I have most of the inside position now. So now I can start my escapes turning away. If, for whatever reason, Devin's trying to stop my turn away escapes, then I can use his efforts to turn back in and escape. So I've sealed out his mount attempts as well by keeping my right arm and right knee tight to each other. This right arm, at any moment, if I feel like he's not pressuring into me enough, I can use that to bridge and push his head off of my right shoulder and turn to my knees. But he does a really good job of pulling me back down to my back. And my hand is on his left arm here just to prevent any choke attempts, which he actually switches to a north-south choke, I believe, really quickly. Right here. So north-south chokes are good if you're facing the ceiling and they are able to wrap your neck. So my left elbow here is trying to lift his neck just enough that I can turn my chin in, and he can no longer north-south choke me here. He's over my chin too, and he's not on my neck, which also is saving me a little bit as well. So again, he relinquished the control because he went for a submission, and then the submission failed, and now I have all the inside position turned away. So let's see here. I'm blocking the choke arm. So you can see he was trying to get the arm across my neck to choke me and take my back, but I'm sealing him out. I'm not allowing the inside position, and then boom. I noticed that he had no control stopping me from turning in, so I try and move my hips away, turn in to get my frames back in, but he does a good job of blocking my legs, so I actually try and force a north-south type of position where my hips are further away right here, and now I can try and bring my legs underneath of him from here, but he does a good job of really controlling that inside space. So I wasn't able to get underneath from there, so I go back to blocking his hip and trying to insert my knee in the front of his hip here. And I failed at it because he was able to remove my knee and get inside position on my knee with his left arm here. So now I'm kind of in this position where he's got sort of north-south grips from in between north-south and side control here. So I need to regain the inside position. So now I've got the inside position with my right arm now. So because I had the inside position with my right arm, I'll be able to slowly make my way to turn inwards towards him, since he can't pin that shoulder as effectively since he's not underneath my arm here. And the other one's on his hip. Yeah, so as you see in there, I almost got to my side. He's walking my shoulders flat. He was trying to walk my shoulders flat as I was turning, but because I had the inside position, he wasn't able to do so. So again, I'm back to turning away and sealing out all that inside position with my arms. And then eventually I grabbed his right arm and I managed to push it into my pocket where there's nothing controlling my hips now, and I immediately turned to my knees to escape the position. So Devin's really good at these like smash pass, pressure passing, body lock type of guard passes. So the advantages of those is the fact that, you know, you're so focused on passing the legs that it's hard to stop them from passing your legs with these types of passes. However, they have zero control of the upper body. So you'll see this in this clip here. He's passed my legs, but he has no upper body control here. So I turn away and I'm sealing him out. He scoops my leg and pulls me back flat, which is good for him because, like I talked about before, I don't want to be flat. If I'm flat, I'm carrying his weight way more. It's harder for me to move my hips away, and it's harder for me to fight for the inside position again. So that's good on his behalf there. So because he's pulling me flat, I believe I start turning in because he's not able to really use his arm to stop the re-guard coming inwards because he's scooping my outside leg. Yeah, it's there. So I was almost inserted that leg, so he immediately let go of the scoop because he knew if he didn't, I was going to get that knee across the inside of his hip. So he switched back to going inside my hip to shut down that inside position there. But now, because of that, I believe I start turning away again. No? Yeah. Yeah, so because he shut down all the escapes on the inside, he wasn't worried about me turning away, and I start turning away to seal him out again. And I turn to my knees. So again, Devin has no control of my upper body right now. It's all solely lower body control right now. So as you see, he has no inside position on both my arms. So I turn away and I just try and seal him out until I can turn to my knees. I think he eventually tries to switch to upper body control. He's trying to replace his arm with that arm. So I get control of that arm now. So he separated his hands. I'm not sure if they were connected. If they were, he separated them. If not, I separated them myself by grabbing the wrist and pushing it away. So now it's going to be hard for him to control me with that upper body grip, and I'll be able to turn to my knees. But I guess he manages to free it. So the second he freed it, I had to go into the iron pillow type of position where now if he tries to dig a choke on my neck, my bicep is blocking it. And this arm here is waiting to catch any kind of underhook attempt. So again, right now, he has no upper body control on this arm, and he has very minor upper body control with that choking arm here. So there's a good chance that I'm probably going to try and turn away. However, he is pinning my hip with his head. But I was able to use my inside arm like we talked about. Right. So because his weight wasn't really over me that much and he didn't really have a ton of upper body control, I'm able to use my right bicep to bridge and push his head off my body long enough for me to turn to my knees and escape. Right here. I think this is the last clip from the side control stuff. So he passes my guard with one of those pressure passing type positions where he's focused mostly on the legs. So I'm able to get the inside position with my arms here. Again, he's splitting my legs with his arm, so I should be able to turn in. But he switches from splitting the legs to hugging my hips now, so turning in is going to be more difficult. So I imagine, yeah, so I use that underhook across the hips to help me turn away now, because he switched, we go back, he switched from scooping inside my leg here to hugging outside my hips. And we talked about that at the beginning of the video. If you're hugging the hips, you're not underneath the far elbow, which means I'll be able to turn away to start my escapes. So here, I turn away. I can't really tell what he's doing, but he's flattening back out. So I was a little bit lazy with my knee positioning, and this is what I was talking about, knee on belly. So if you're lazy with where your legs are, they'll be able to mount you or go straight to knee on belly on you. So this is not good. So the one disadvantage of knee on belly is the fact that you're a little bit less stable of a position. It's more of a dynamic pin. So in this position, I threaten immediately because his weight is forward over my head. I off balance him over my head to spin underneath to entangle his legs. Right here. So I managed to spin under. He backs off. And I get my legs back because he didn't want to get his legs entangled with me completely underneath of him. So that's why he backed off there. And just another example of if they extend that leg. Right here, if they extend that leg straight back, I always put my hand in front of the knee to lock it out so they can't bring it back in and slide my leg under.
Excuse me.
David being a piglet. And again, always freeing my head from these like hip switch positions so that I'm able to sit up and also to threaten the guard retrieval by turning in. So again, this time I actually complete the sit-up escape because what Scott should have done was start going towards my head and going towards his knees. But because he didn't do that, his hips were stayed face the ceiling. So when I sat up, he just had no base behind him. So a similar type of position again. I free my head.
Justin got his purple belt yesterday, so now he's wearing a special needs helmet.
Oh my God. David chirping like he always does.
Cups for your ears.
So again, I threatened the sit-up escape there where he had to turn to his knees, which is what he did. And this time I went back to pulling him overhead and getting my knees back inside. And then I get my guard back here. So that's the side control stuff. I didn't really touch too much on north-south, and I didn't touch too much on knee on belly. I'll probably make videos on those later, but I have less footage on those positions. So when I get more footage, I'll do a breakdown of those videos as well. So basically, in a nutshell, if your partner is holding you down and focusing on your hips, I usually sit up. If they're focused on your upper body, then I go to moving my hips away and re-guarding. If they're splitting their control and they have one arm on your head and one arm on your hip, a lot of the time I'm turning away. And then at any point, if they extend their legs away, I push away to half guard. So that's kind of like the game plan that I use when I'm escaping the back. A lot of the time, you're going to do your escapes by turning away and not turning in, just because a lot of people focus more on stopping the turn in because it's really effective if you allow somebody to turn in, get their limbs in. It's super hard to stop them after they build their frames. Also, they want to expose the back. So You can turn away without giving up the back, but you have to be sure to not give up the inside position. If you don't give up any of the inside position, they can't get a seatbelt, they can't get a choke, and they can't take your back. Only when they open up your inside position can they get that. So turning away is okay to escape the side control position as long as you don't give up the inside position. If you feel like you're starting to give up the inside position, you're smarter and better off to just go back to side control, get that inside position back, and then turn it again. So hopefully this video helps you guys escape the side control position, which is one of the hardest positions to actually escape, especially if they're not trying to attack you.